lightly.
Now are taking the mortgages and more especially condominium apartments, and that's it. Because when you go all over the world, even those developed world, all the young people, they start up what we call the first homes are always condominium apartments, and after that they graduate to others. Then when they are retiring, that's when they go into those glamorous, expensive, because you have already worked and you are retiring, you don't need to work anymore. So you give yourself a gift of going and staying in a place that, but don't, at 25, maybe if you get money, you still have a lot to do, you still have a lot of energy. Put up a factory that can change the world. It depends on how this. When you build houses and you finish them with what we call a luxury standards, that's a different thing. If you put up houses and you finish them with affordable whatever, it's totally different. But we have houses which we call affordable, a one bedroom house. That is what we call them. We no longer now call them apartment or flats. We are putting up houses for young people. You come in at between 75 million. You can have a one bedroom finished apartment. Actually, we no longer call them now apartment. We want to call them what we call a studio, whereby you sleep and you work.
That any mortgage that offers more than 20% is unfriendly. If you're going to buy a house and pay more than 20% on the mortgage, it's a very unfriendly way to invest in real estate. Because I am 47, 20 years, 25 years, I'm going to be 70. How will I be able to pay that mortgage? It becomes very complicated.
But the individual taking up the mortgage should have reliable sources of income to meet their monthly loan repayment obligations. That's why most of the people that take up this scheme are employees or take up salary loans, because the success of this effort also largely depends on availability of affordable and decent housing. Mortgages give you the flexibility of 10 to 20 years or more depending on the credit institution and source of income. Much more convenient than paying rent, some mortgage packages are as expensive as 100 million, of which people argue that 2 to 5 houses can be constructed in that much. Therefore, this will require more concerted effort from the government to engage various key players, including real estate developers, banks, pension schemes, to fully unpack the regulation to understand
25 under mortgage. And then you keep on paying something like at most you can pay 1 million or 1.2 per month. Are you getting my point? And then eventually that becomes your property.
However, other proprietors discourage mortgages due to the issues that involve job security. Nonetheless, it is contradictory because the value of houses will in the next 5 to 10 years. Rona Nahabwe, Business Today, Smart 24 TV, driving business.
Okay, and speaking of which, mortgage is giving you at least a view of, or giving you a better option. Imagine renting a house for 10 years. I just, let's put this into a reality checker. You're renting a house for 10 years, good apartment, 2 million monthly, 1 million monthly, 1.5, bid 500,000. For 5 years, 10 years, and after maybe you've lost your job or your business ain't performing no more, you've got no plan. Or maybe you've built a house that is not exactly as you would wish for. Because sometimes people live in better apartments or better rentals or better houses at the time during their work. But when you look at their retirement homes, or when you look at the house they're actually preparing for their retirement, you're completely mesmerized about the fact that it ain't look like the way they're supposed to be living in. And that is how people end up, getting into a depression of sort. But with mortgages this time around, you can ideally rent a house or rent an apartment and make it yours. Imagine living in a house and you sign this agreement with the person who's actually giving it out to you that after a certain period of time and I'm done paying this particular amount of money, that house becomes mine. That is if at all you've liked the house, because staying in a house for over 10 years and you're still renting it clearly makes anyone or an overseer or anyone from the outside world think that that particular house belongs to you. So regardless of whether it is not your house or it's just you renting it. And I've actually seen this work. I've actually seen people buying houses that they've actually been renting in. Someone has been renting a house, paying, let's say, 1.5 a month. And then he sits down with the landlord to suggest ways of making that particular home theirs. At least to know that, okay, I have a house, I have a home. We all know the benefits of owning one. And I believe the only way you could know a benefit of a permanent home is during COVID, because then you would know, I don't have rent to pay. I only have to deal with my family and make sure I cater for them and make sure I provide essentials. And now with COVID, surprisingly though, you could easily see things happening. You could easily see things happening. You could easily see that someone who's actually paying rent during COVID had many hardships. For example, you are not an essential worker. You're paying rent, 500,000. Where are you getting the money from? You have to eat. You have to, you have all these particular details. You have to meet up all those things. You see, sometimes life hits us differently, but gives us lessons to understand. Unless when you have the money to build yourself a house, but mortgages can actually provide, can actually be an alternative for you if you're a business person, or if at all you are running business or driving a business in any way. So it is time for you to at least picture yourself into that situation, that you can use mortgages as an alternative for maybe a retirement home or for a future home, for a future house, and you're good to go. And it's actually showing you that this time around, it's actually increasingly growing, because when you look at currently, mortgage lending stands at 28.8 billion shillings in Uganda, which shows you that people are already adopting to this particular style of living. And in the same way, the real estate sector or the real estate industry is growing bigger and better every year that passes by, which is actually a strong stand for the industry players, but whether you're a broker, whether you're actually an active player, or whether you're actually into anything to do with real estate, hardware and all that, every other person who is actually part of the whole atmosphere is good to go with this particular one. But now, with that particular one, I have 4 minutes to the half-hour mark. I'll be back after the break. I've got the press review looking at stories making headlines from the business world, and also looking at the SMB Insight. I did say we are rerunning one of our exclusive that we had with the third deputy Prime Minister, Lukia Nakadama, trying to understand the parish development model and how its implementation is going to spur change of livelihood for most of the citizens in Uganda. Good morning.